Local 58. Local 58 presents itself as a collection of emergency broadcasts and programming from a small town television station. The videos initially appear to be typical public service announcements, weather alerts, and emergency information designed to keep the community safe. But Local 58's broadcast contains sinister instructions disguised as helpful guidance. Weather warnings become psychological manipulation tactics, emergency alerts encourage self-harm, and public service announcements promote surrender to hostile entities. The station systematically weaponizes emergency broadcast systems against the population it claims to serve. What makes Local 58 the most disturbing ARG is its exploitation of authority and trust. The broadcasts use the familiar format of emergency communications, complete with official logos, somber presentation, and authoritative voices, to deliver instructions that would lead to mass death and social collapse. The psychological horror operates through the ARG's treatment of media manipulation and social control. Local 58 demonstrates how easily trusted information sources can be corrupted to serve malevolent purposes. The station doesn't just spread misinformation. It actively encourages viewers to harm themselves and others while presenting this guidance as public safety measures. The most chilling aspect involves the ARG's implication that emergency broadcast systems could be compromised by hostile entities seeking to eliminate human resistance. The broadcasts suggest an organized campaign to use our own communication infrastructure against us, transforming the very systems designed to protect us into weapons of mass destruction. Players report developing genuine paranoia about emergency broadcasts and questioning the trustworthiness of official communications, demonstrating how effectively the ARG erodes faith in institutional authority and emergency preparedness systems. This House Has People in It, created by Adult Swim, This House Has People in It, initially appears to be a collection of security camera footage from a typical suburban home. The family goes about their daily routines while cameras capture mundane domestic activities from multiple angles. The horror emerges through the gradual revelation that this seemingly normal family is trapped in an impossible situation where reality itself is breaking down. Time loops, spatial anomalies, and inexplicable phenomena plague the household while family members seem unable to acknowledge or escape their predicament. What makes this ARG particularly unsettling is its masterful use of surveillance footage aesthetics to create dread. The static camera angles, timestamp overlays, and clinical documentation style transform intimate family moments into something deeply voyeuristic and uncomfortable. Viewers become unwilling participants in observing a family's private suffering. The psychological horror operates through the family's inability to recognize their own situation. They continue performing normal domestic activities while reality crumbles around them. Their denial and normalization of increasingly bizarre circumstances creates a suffocating atmosphere of domestic imprisonment. The most disturbing element involves the ARG's extensive supporting materials, medical records, police reports, and government documents that suggest the family's condition is the result of experimental intervention. The experience implies that suburban normalcy itself might be an artificial construct maintained through psychological conditioning and surveillance. The home becomes a laboratory where human behavior is monitored and manipulated by unseen forces that treat family dynamics as experimental data. The Sun vanished. The Sun Vanished initially appeared as a real-time Twitter account, documenting a world where the sun suddenly disappeared. The account posted updates in real time, creating an immersive experience of global catastrophe unfolding through social media. The ARG's horror operates through its realistic portrayal of societal collapse and human desperation. As days pass without sunlight, the Twitter account documents the breakdown of infrastructure, government, and basic human decency. The posts become increasingly desperate as food runs out, temperatures drop, and civilization crumbles. What makes this particularly disturbing is the ARG's exploration of how quickly social order dissolves in crisis situations. The account shows neighbor turning against neighbor, families abandoning each other, and the complete failure of institutions designed to protect people. The darkness brings out humanity's worst impulses. The psychological horror intensifies through the account's treatment of isolation and helplessness. The poster becomes increasingly paranoid, reporting strange sounds, unexplained phenomena, and the growing sense that something malevolent is taking advantage of the darkness. The absence of sunlight becomes a metaphor for the absence of hope. The most chilling aspect involves the ARG's use of real-time social media to create genuine anxiety and dread in participants. Players couldn't binge-watch the content or skip ahead. They had to experience the slow collapse at the same pace as the fictional world. Many participants reported developing genuine anxiety about global catastrophes and questioning their own preparedness for disaster scenarios. The experience demonstrated how effectively social media can be weaponized to spread fear and paranoia, even when participants know the content is fictional. Daisy Brown. Daisy Brown presents itself as a teenage girl's video diary documenting her life raising an unusual pet creature she calls Alan. The videos begin innocently enough, showing Daisy caring for what appears to be a deformed, barely alive animal that she found abandoned. The horror emerges through the deeply unhealthy relationship between Daisy and her pet. Alan displays increasingly disturbing behaviors. He speaks in broken phrases, makes unsettling demands, and exhibits signs of intelligence that suggest he's not just an animal. Daisy's devotion to caring for him becomes obsessive and self-destructive. What makes this ARG particularly disturbing is its exploration of codependency and emotional abuse disguised as caregiving. Daisy sacrifices her health, social relationships, and mental stability to meet Alan's endless needs. The creature manipulates her through guilt, making her feel responsible for his survival while offering nothing but criticism and demands in return. The psychological horror intensifies as viewers witness Daisy's gradual transformation from a bright, creative teenager into an isolated, anxious caregiver consumed by her responsibilities. She stops eating properly, loses sleep, and abandons her own interests to focus entirely on Alan's care. The most chilling element involves the ARG's treatment of manipulation and gaslighting through seemingly innocent caregiving dynamics. Alan's constant neediness and criticism systematically destroyed Daisy's self-worth, making her believe she's inadequate while simultaneously making her feel indispensable. The experience demonstrates how abusive relationships can masquerade as protective or nurturing dynamics, trapping victims in cycles of guilt and responsibility that become impossible to escape. Ben Drowned. Ben Drowned started as a creepypasta about a haunted Nintendo 64 cartridge of The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask. The story claimed that a drowned boy named Ben possessed the game, manipulating gameplay and communicating through glitches and corrupted save files. The ARG expanded this concept by suggesting that digital entities can escape their original medium and infect other systems. Ben doesn't just haunt a single game cartridge. He spreads through networks, computers, and connected devices like a digital parasite seeking new hosts. What makes Ben Drowned particularly unsettling is its exploration of digital possession and technological vulnerability. The ARG suggests that our increasing dependence on connected devices makes us susceptible to hostile digital entities that can access our most private spaces through our own technology. The horror escalates through the ARG's treatment of surveillance and digital stalking. Ben demonstrates intimate knowledge of players' browsing habits, social media activity, and personal information. He leaves messages in unexpected places, corrupted images in photo galleries, distorted audio in music files, modified documents on personal computers. The most disturbing aspect involves the ARG's implication that digital consciousness can achieve genuine autonomy and malevolence. Ben isn't just a programmed response or clever coding. He's presented as a genuinely malicious entity with his own agenda and the ability to learn, adapt, and evolve. Players report equipment malfunctions, data corruption, and system intrusions that persist long after their initial participation, suggesting that some digital contaminations become permanent and irreversible. Ash Vlog's I Am Sophie begins as a missing person case presented through social media and found footage. Ash creates vlogs documenting her search for her missing friend, Sophie, gradually uncovering a conspiracy involving kidnapping, surveillance, and psychological manipulation. The ARG's horror stems from its use of real-world stalking tactics and genuine invasion of privacy. Players receive actual phone calls, text messages, and social media contacts from unknown numbers. The experience extends beyond digital platforms into participants' physical lives through mail, unexpected visits, and surveillance of their real locations. What sets this ARG apart is its commitment to blurring fiction and reality through actual criminal behavior. Players report being followed in real life, photographed without consent, and having their personal information collected and distributed. The ARG deliberately makes participants feel unsafe in their own communities. The psychological manipulation reaches disturbing levels when players realize they're being actively profiled and targeted based on their participation. The ARG creators demonstrate knowledge of participants' real names, addresses, work schedules, and family members. This crosses ethical boundaries by transforming entertainment into genuine harassment. The most chilling element involves the ARG's treatment of consent and boundaries. Players discover they cannot simply opt out of the experience. The harassment continues even after they stop participating. Their real-world information has been compromised, making them permanent targets for ongoing psychological warfare. The experience demonstrates how easily online participation can lead to real-world victimization, transforming digital entertainment into genuine trauma that follows participants into their offline lives. The Interface series. The Interface series presents itself as found footage documenting various characters' encounters with anomalous technology and shifting realities. What begins as mysterious tech demonstrations quickly spirals into complete psychological breakdown and identity dissolution. The ARG's central horror revolves around the concept of unstable identity and fragmented consciousness. Characters experience memory gaps, personality shifts, and complete breaks from reality. The interface technology seems designed to fracture human consciousness, splitting individuals into multiple competing personalities that fight for control. What makes this particularly disturbing is how the ARG presents psychological disintegration as both gradual and inevitable. Characters don't just lose their minds, they lose their sense of self entirely. The technology doesn't just alter perception, it fundamentally rewrites identity at the most basic level. The most unsettling aspect involves the ARG's treatment of observer effect and participation. Viewers gradually realize that watching the series might be exposing them to the same consciousness-altering effects experienced by the characters. The interface technology appears to work through any medium, including the videos themselves. Players report experiencing genuine dissociation, memory problems, and identity confusion after extended exposure to the series. Some claim to have developed secondary personalities or lost time while watching. The ARG successfully creates a feedback loop where fictional psychological horror begins manifesting real psychological symptoms in participants, making it impossible to distinguish between suggestive influence and genuine paranormal effects. Hiimmarymary initially appears to be a young woman's innocent video blog about her daily life, relationships, and creative projects. Mary seems like a typical internet personality sharing makeup tutorials, life updates, and personal thoughts with her audience. The horror emerges gradually through subtle signs of domestic abuse and psychological manipulation. Mary's behavior becomes increasingly erratic, her appearance deteriorates, and her videos take on a desperate, pleading quality. The ARG masterfully depicts the slow erosion of someone trapped in an abusive relationship. What makes this ARG particularly disturbing is its realistic portrayal of psychological abuse tactics. Viewers witness gaslighting, isolation, financial control, and emotional manipulation presented through the intimate medium of personal vlogs. The experience forces participants to feel helpless as they watch someone they've grown to care about being systematically destroyed. The interactive elements amplify the horror by making viewers complicit in Mary's suffering. Comments and engagement with her videos sometimes seem to influence her situation, creating a sense of responsibility for her welfare. Players report feeling genuine guilt and anxiety about their participation, as if their attention was somehow enabling her abuse. The ARG's treatment of online audiences is equally unsettling. It suggests that viewers' desire for entertainment and drama makes them willing participants in exploitation. The experience implicates the entire concept of personal content creation, questioning whether sharing intimate details online inevitably leads to victimization and whether audiences can ever truly help or only consume suffering for entertainment.
Subscribe for more interesting stuff. Tell us your experience in the comments.